Good evening once again. This is Hans Last here. Today's date is November the 28th, 2020. And what I thought I would do for this particular video is talk a little more about the COVID-19, but this time from a blind person's perspective. Again, my apologies for camera positioning. I'm holding it with my arm at arm's length here. I'm not using my selfie stick tonight because I want to make sure that I have more control over camera positioning while I am talking. But what I want to talk today is a kind of a follow-up to my previous video, Thank You COVID-19. I want to talk about COVID-19, the pandemic, from a blind person's perspective, and how blind people may be dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic that has been pretty much around the world since the middle of March of this year, and it is now approaching just less than a month away from the Christmas season, and we are still in the midst of it with still increasing numbers. Here in Canada, fortunately, it's not as bad as some other countries. But what I'm talking about is from a blind person's perspective. The pandemic is, well, like it's affecting everybody, especially in a blind person's, because unlike regular sighted person, a blind person, of course, you cannot see if you're getting too close to a person or not. That is one of the main things. And there is also the matter of being guided. Now, mostly when you're using verbal cues seems to help, but when you're in a store or someplace where you need to be guided, my personal experience, fortunately, because I don't go out much, it's not really an issue for me, but I don't know how other people are dealing with the fact that they need help, need help being guided. If it's a family member or close acquaintances, probably okay. But if you have to rely on strangers to be guiding you, then it's more of a thing, because again, there is the of course the inability to properly social distance. And now I've had an experience where I've been at the local Tim Hortons just up the road here from where I'm here in my apartment. I've had them verbally tell me, or well, like I've had some idea where to go. Now a person that doesn't know would probably need to have a lot of cues, like pointing them and not with a finger, just tell them, okay, come this way. They would have to walk to it. The first time when I went to the Tim Hortons back in, I think it was August when they opened, and I went and somebody helped me to a table. They actually put the gloves on and I just grabbed the edge of their elbow. And when I go to the church here, Westview Christian Fellowship, I have people help me, but they usually just touch my elbow, and it's just for about half a minute just to get me to a seat, and about half a minute to get me out again. And of course masks are worn, as is the requirement, health regulations. And so that's probably okay. Now, I know some people with that are maybe visiting or so, or like, well, I think it's more public places that it's more of a thing. Now, if people can tell you where something is, or they cue you or stay ahead of you, they direct you, it's fine. But you have to rely on them. Like, you have to rely on verbal cues if people don't want to touch. They don't want to, grab your elbow. And usually it's okay. I think I have mixed feelings, as I may have said in the last video. Some people think, oh, it's no big deal. Others think it's a major deal. It depends on the individual and how well they can handle it and all. But it's always best to act on the side of caution, I feel, which is what I'm doing. I always put on a mask. I mean, outside I don't, on the street, but when I go into a public place, I always put on a mask, as per policy. And I don't argue with it, because putting on a mask only takes a couple seconds to put it on and to take it off once I get out of the establishment. So, I mean, people, you think that no, it's wearing a mask is shouldn't have to, you know, but you know, think about what it's doing. So, as a vision impaired person, I'm just saying it's, you know, it's definitely like mask wearing is very important for both. But you know, as long as, in my opinion, is as long as there's no hand-to-hand contact, like if they're just touching your elbow or something like that, it's okay for just momentary, just half a minute while they're guiding you to a place. And that is how I work, how it works at Westview, where I am. Now, I have used, and there is technology we can use. It's with our smartphones. We can use Be My Eyes or Aira, A-I-R-A, or Be My Eyes app, both which we just have the phone in front of us, much like this. Well, maybe not like that, but usually we hold it about at a chest level. And we have the agents tell us, okay, where to go. And Aira, of course, lets people, you know, they'll help guide you through that, and they'll direct you for social distancing and tell you, okay, you're too close to that person or whatever. So, as said, but I do feel that, you know, people don't worry, you know, we're not going to, you know, there's no need to be afraid to help us. We just grab an elbow and that's all there is to it. And, or they can just, yeah, usually the proper way for a sighted person is for us to, so of course there's no one here, but we just reach for the, grab their elbow and they tell us okay, and they can motion us to a chair. And sorry if my hand is shaking here, but yeah, they motion us to a chair and tell us, you know, to your right or your left, sit down, and all is good. And of course, the usual, of course, like everyone else, we do our part, stay 6 feet apart, and all is good. So, with that said, thanks everybody for watching. This is Hans Last, and thank you very much for watching.